Oh, wait. Did you see you didn't have extra towels?
In May.
It's gray hair. Basically, that to outsource it.
Well, this young man is very hungry.
Call the Hancock, October 24th, 2022 meeting to order. We have the roll call.
Stand here, yeah.
A roll call, please.
Councilmember Berger,
Present.
Councilmember Gillespie. Present. Councilmember Holdren,
Present.
Councilmember Marino. Present. Councilmember Knox. Present. Councilmember Oswald. Here. Mayor Foskey.
Present.
Quorum is established.
Could you call the roll for the planning commission?
Sure, yeah. Commissioner Brockmeyer. Commissioner Fry.
Here.
Commissioner Byrd. Commissioner Bagwell.
Here.
Commissioner Tunstall.
Here.
Chairperson Shriver.
Here.
Commissioner Foskey.
Here.
Quorum is established.
Thank you. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item, well, we need a motion to approve the meeting minutes from August 22nd, 2022 town council meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Mr. Mayor, may I ask, are these amended? Is that why they're in here?
Yeah.
This is the final. Okay. So I move that we accept the minutes as.
A second? Discussion. Any corrections? Okay, all in favor? Second, a motion to approve meeting minutes September 22nd, 2022. There it's wrong. I made on mine. Okay, anyway, do we have a motion to accept those minutes? Second,
I second.
discussion or any discussion about them? Any changes anybody wants to make?
No.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay.
Moving right along.
The next item is the public presentation from the Historic and Hancock School.
Please use the microphone.
Okay. I checked. I have props. Everybody likes props. Whoops. You can make her stand. All right, it's a little crooked. There you go. Hi,
Yeah.
my name is Joni Donahoe. I am a resident of Onancock and the director of Historic Onancock School. My prop in front of you is a rendering of a performance pavilion that we are going to be erecting, and actually the groundbreaking has begun at Historic Onancock School. When Rick King, one of our board members, was here earlier this year, we had gone through several months of planning, and he came to the council and got great approval for the concept. We are now in the fundraising, the quiet phase of our fundraising. And I'm here as a request for support and funding from the town of Onancock. The mission statement of the Friends of Onancock School is that we are a nonprofit dedicated to strengthening economic and cultural vitality on the Eastern Shore's diverse community through the rehabilitation of historic Onancock School and its adjoining campus. The Pavilion campaign is the next step in a strategic plan we've been working on to further develop the 14-acre campus. The venue will bring a variety of performance arts to the Eastern Shore and be made possible by generous support of corporate individual donors, and we are asking for the support of the town council. The Eastern Shore, as we know, is an area that with a population of 45,000 has a diverse age and ethnicity population. Much over 30% of the children age 17 and under are living in poverty on the Eastern Shore. Our hope is to partner with many organizations, art organizations, and corporations to help bring this cultural possibility to the Eastern Shore. Last year, we, in post-pandemic, but still kind of on the fringes, we still are, we welcomed over 10,000 people to our campus on an historic Onancock School. We think it's a hub. In the 15 years that we have been a nonprofit, we have grown the building from a rather derelict building to a place that attracts over 10,000 people a year and then some. We have many events, many free, some ticketed for fundraisers. And we think that being centrally on the Eastern Shore, located on the Eastern Shore, is an ideal place with our beautiful space. The pavilion will also allow us not only to partner with many organizations on the shore, but it will help increase revenue for the town, help with economic growth, and it will help us to maintain this beautiful campus and continue its improvements. As I said, the groundbreaking has just begun, and the last couple of days, end of last week, we poured the first footings. So we hope to continue this fall to do some of the basic, the foundational growth on it, just with this year's prices, as opposed to something that could occur next year with increased pricing. And because we have contractors on hand, believe it or not, that can help us out. So we are looking for $100,000 would be our request, with hopes that we can get some now and a promissory of future funding from the town. We were still in our transition, our planning stages when the ARPA money came out and all that was allocated. But since we have gotten our plan going, we're ready, we are rolling, and we're hoping that there can be some sort of a reallocation, help with town reserves and the like to help us. This is only improving town land, and we hope to do a lot, as I say, with working with Main Street, the town, North Street Playhouse, RCEC, and many other organizations on the shore, that we can make this just a shining star on the hill. So I would be open for any questions, and hope that you will take this into consideration.
Flip that around so we can see the.
I'm sorry, I didn't turn it on you because you had gotten in your packet, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's
Bigger
it's better to see it, yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, Questions?
And if I can introduce Rick Kane, he's on our board and he's pretty much he is the general contractor. So if you get too technical, he's the guy.
This is not technical at all. This is about cash. All I wanted, this is the first I'm hearing the request of $100,000 from the town. And I'd like our town manager to go over this and go through it to let us know if there's any feasibility for that, rather than to say to you yes or no, or make a promise we won't keep.
But it is the 100,000, you said future arrangements, what, so can you explain a little bit more about that if we can?
For a pledge for so much for.
So what time frame are you looking at?
Now, we're talking it could be as much as a couple years, but if what you can work with, we're looking for money to help us now. We are just beginning our quiet campaign. I mean, basically, Rick, the 375 is what we're thinking for the structure alone.
It's gonna, everybody knows prices are going right now, so the preliminary budget is somewhere in the neighborhood of 350,000. I think it's gonna be more than that. Prices go up every day. We've had some delays. We'll be able to get the foundation in this fall. Probably set the steel for the support steel for the roofing and so forth, but all of the roofing is the rafters are Douglas fir beams that are 45, 50 feet long. 3 months ago, they were on a 6-week lead time. Now they're on a 14 to 16-week lead time. So we'll get the foundation in and completed. So everything up to, and I'll probably set the steel piece 4 columns, but until we receive the rafters, we can't go any further. But we'll get everything in this fall. When the rafters come, it'll take 1 day to crane the rafters, probably a week to put the Douglas fir tongue groove roofing on, and then 2 weeks for like Walt Frisch to do it'll have a standing seam aluminum roof. So it won't, in the early spring, it'll take a month to wrap everything up, but still, I think easily targeted a May 31st grand opening.
Be the hope.
So it's my understanding that we can't encumber future councils with the promise of anything, correct? Is that? We're not-
That's true.
Yeah, so we can give you part of it, yeah.
I think Mavis hit it on the head. I can
Yeah.
bring you a feasibility study to show where the funds would be and how much we could fund.
Right. Is everybody, okay. Any other questions for Joni?
I have one. There's glare, so I'm having trouble seeing, but it looks as though it's open to the back.
It will be, that will be when an event's happening, in a musical event or a theater event,
Okay.
that'll get.
I was
closed off.
wondering how that would do with projecting
No,
sound.
it has to be, exactly, it has to be closed off. Now I'll either do it with, most likely it'll be similar to like a barn door type setup back there. But we wanted when we did the rendering, we just left it open, kind of see not that you can see the creek behind it, but there's, when you're standing up on
So it doesn't become a block.
right.
I have a question.
Sure.
You're saying 350,000 total and asking for 100,000. How do you plan on raising the other 250?
Well, I've made a significant donation to the HOS personally. And then again, to get this started now, if we waited till we had to jump through the normal hoops with building permits, environmental issues and all that kind of stuff. But once we got through all that, it delayed us a little bit, but this can be done. I can easily get this foundation complete in the next month. And then after that, we'll sit and wait for the timbers, but we've got some literature being done at Waterford now, and we'll start our targeted campaign to raise other funds. John Custis is giving a lot of guidance, and so he's very confident we'll be able to raise significantly more than that, because there's other things that need to happen, including, upgrading the parking lot. If we have events that are ticketed, we have to fence We'll probably put a state fencing up on the front right side. There's fencing on the whole left side of the school. So there's a lot of stuff that has to, be completed. So, and then to get this going now, I'm funding all the work now. So we can get it done this fall. And then as we complete our fundraising, then I'll get reimbursed for that portion of it. But, we have the funds to move forward and get it built and be ready. If we delayed it until, a later date, then it would be 2024 before it would open. But by doing this now, we'll be ready for 2023.
Can I suggest that you get up with Matt, and talk and elaborate on your fundraising so that we could have
Sure.
more details?
Enough,
Yeah,
Kind of.
Matt,
it's not proprietary thing, it's
No, no,
public knowledge, right?
and
Yeah.
I've provided, you have a copy of the, so I met with Robert Sabatini at the Chamber of Commerce. Robert asked me to do a 5-year projection, which I did.
We've already got that.
Okay, so you've got that.
Right.
And then he then established the, putting the data that he uses for tourism, all that kind of type of stuff, and produced the economic impact to the town, which is tremendous.
Okay, anybody else? Right?
Yeah, so you mentioned some other costs associated with the overall project. Like the parking lot, for example, what would need to be upgraded to host these events, and probably electrical, lighting and fencing. So do you have a ballpark figure for the overall cost?
It's gonna be in the neighborhood of $500,000.
Right, so that's good, that's.
Yeah. Yeah. But we're very comfortable in, where we're going with this and projecting the fundraisings, but, a lot of, we'll do a direct, target campaign and with, predominantly banks, corporate entities and so forth. We'll do we'll talk to a couple of major, employers that would look at this for naming rights and stuff that would provide significant funding, for somebody to put their name on the pavilion. So,
Okay, any other questions or anything?
Well, I was just gonna make a comment when you said naming rights and things like that. Are you projecting advertisers? Maybe sports or music industry advertisers that would be willing to pay a big chunk to have their name out there?
yeah, there's no question. Most pavilions are named, go through that process for naming rights, and they'll give you a pretty big chunk of cash initially. Then they want to know their name's gonna be there for 10 years minimum, and they'll put in X number of dollars every year to help sponsor events. So that's,
I'm just wondering if it's an avenue you're already
Oh, we're
exploring.
down,
yeah,
Okay.
starting down that.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Any other questions at all? Okay, so, is it okay with the council? Matt's gonna, develop some possible funding streams. Matt Standard comes back with us next at the next council meeting.
That works.
Okay, and if anybody has anything in between now and now, email Matt, you have some suggestions and something. Okay, thank you very much.
all right.
Thank you for your consideration.
Welcome, thank you. That's great. Okay, the next item of business is a public hearing on a homestay at 12 Lake Street. This is a special use permit. This just involves the town council, so I'm gonna open the public hearing for a homestay at 12 Lake Street. Is anybody representing 12 Lake Street here? Would you like to make a presentation, or is your application? Or you just want to answer questions of anything? Okay. First of all, is there any public comment about this homestay? Yeah, sorry.
I'm Terry Swain from 45 8th Street, which is on the other side of town, but I know Dennis Custis and his wife Diane, who are on at 6 Lake Street, and they're not able to come tonight, so they asked if I would say something.
Can you, if you want, can you stand up and we get it on paper?
Dennis Custis and Diane Custis from Terry Swain from 45 8th Street, but Dennis Custis and Diane live on 6 Lake Street, and they are not in favor of having homestay in their neighborhood, and for a variety of reasons. concerns about noise and concerns about, property values and all of the other kinds of things that people raise concerns about for these types of uses of a property. And he wasn't aware of it until today, actually, and was not able to come to the meeting because of health reasons. And so, I told him I would say something about it. I don't, because it's not contiguous, I don't know if you want to hear what he has to say about it, but that's it. I have something to say about the whole issue. because-
We're gonna reserve that for public comment.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Wait, yeah. Everybody got notified, but he's not,
Yeah, the adjacent property owners all got notified.
they're the only ones. who
Yeah, that's why he didn't know.
He's not on the base project.
But he did want to voice his.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Can I ask a question of the town manager?
This is the
Regarding
public hearing
this?
right now.
Oh, okay.
Let's get the public comment and we'll ask. Any more public comment about the? Okay, I'm gonna close the public hearing on 12 Lake Street. Okay, council comments then?
I have just one question to the town manager. We've had homestays and Airbnbs in town for 6 years, correct? Have there been multiple or any number of noise and problem complaints that you are aware of?
I can say not in the last 2 years, and Chief has said that he's never had one either.
Thank you.
How many homestays do we have currently in town?
11.
How many are operating?
Well, legally, all of them. How many are submitting transient occupancy tax is 3.
So probably about half of them are actually operating, yeah,
That's probably a good guess.
right.
They are not in compliance then, if they're
Correct.
not. So, okay, that's another
Do
question.
they have to submit a tax if they don't receive, if they're not actually having occupancy?
They're supposed to submit a
A
TOC
zero.
form even if they have no revenue.
So they're not submitting a form.
Correct.
And,
Assuming that they're also not getting revenue.
and after 1 year, they have to
Well,
reapply,
Our
right?
current code isn't, our new code is clear that after 3 years, you have to reapply under the current ordinances.
Anyway,
Those people who are grandfathered in have no sunset on their application. So what I'm doing is reaching out to them and reminding them that the top rules still apply regardless of their status. And that's been a slow go.
And it's still unclear about what we can do if they don't comply, correct?
I'm working through that with our attorney, and it's actually a little bit more hopeful for me than it was a week ago.
my question was basically about the fact that this is a quiet little town and does not attract the party crowd that I've noticed. There's a Airbnb right down the street from us, and I've seen multiple cars there at different times, but I've never heard a sound beyond the norm. So I know, I understand in some areas that it's not the right thing, but I don't see us knocking down every application because people don't like it, but this brings people to this town who have moved here and later on, that's all.
Another question I would have is what of the ones that are currently operating, what's the mix of owners who are in the general area and people who are away?
That's a great question. Okay, I'm gonna go through my head. The one there has consistent guests. They have a person who lives in a house right behind it. So I would say they have 24 hours. The most active person was out of town. They had a local manager, but they've since ceased operations and they live in the home.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, and then the other big and most popular one is very busy, very compliant, and they live in a Nancock, but not a Nancock town.
Okay, any other questions about this application? Do we have a motion on,
One more question.
Yeah.
Did any of the contiguous neighbors respond?
I got one phone call from one neighbor He was confused between the difference between a B&B and an Airbnb. So we talked through that and he was comfortable after that.
So we need a motion,
Well, I have a question before we
we
do.
can still have, we can have questions after the motion. Why don't we get a motion on the table, either one way or another, so, yeah, then we can discuss what we want to do with the motion. Somebody gonna make a motion?
Everybody's scared to be the one, I'll be it. I think, all of the, components are here. It
Yeah, it wouldn't have gotten to us if.
wouldn't have gotten this far, okay. I move that we accept the application for an Airbnb at this, I forgot what it's
Go on, Blake. Move the grant special use permit.
special use permit.
Not trying to put words in your mouth.
Thank you, but if I need them.
We have a second on that? Next second?
I'll second that.
Second, okay, we have a second, okay, further discussions.
Yes, I noticed there's 3 bedrooms, but only 1 parking space. I think our code addresses that.
Well, our code, the state does offer off-street parking, which is what our ordinance says. And as far as parking on the street, we don't have any ordinance that precludes that.
Any other questions? Call for the vote, all in favor of the application, thanks, I guess you better raise your hand. All in favor? Opposed or not voting? Okay, the motion fails, and 2 people voted for it.
I've got 2 to 0 to 4
Everybody
abstentions.
abstained. 4 abstentions evidently. Sure.
Under our existing code, the existing code has not been discussed with public comment or voted upon by council. Therefore, this code
Hold on a
is
second.
challenged. The existing code that we're operating.
Well, only one line of this code, right?
Correct.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah,
About multiple ownership. Which doesn't really
Correct.
have anything to do with this application,
it's coming in under the existing code.
but we're not
The
talking about,
code doesn't affect this.
yeah,
Yes, it does, because the code says primary residence for the majority of the year.
well, yeah,
It says primary and Hancock residence.
I don't recall the Hancock, but it's
It's-
primary
it
residence
is.
for the majority of the year.
The
It's just that-
problem is that we're changing that section. Because we know there was an error, we think,
it has to come back.
and I'm reluctant to vote on anything until we have the ordinance nailed down the way we want it to be.
all right, well, well, the ordinance was defeated, so if we want to, we'll get the ordinance, straight, and then if they want to
Can they reapply?
reapply without.
Would anybody be bothered if I didn't charge the $150 reapplication fee?
No.
And so there's, all right, so that's where we are back.
Are they not primary residents?
I
They're-
don't know. I
The
just want to
way
see
it
that.
reads, it sounds like they have to live in the house. and
You
have-
don't live there full time, do you?
How do you live in the house and have an Airbnb?
You can.
Oh, yeah,
One
you
on
got your,
King Street.
when you have your Florida residence or whatever.
All right, so we're the permit is denied at this time, but they can reapply.
They can reapply,
Cost.
okay.
So we'll definitely have some answer about this clause at the next meeting, correct?
Yeah, I'm actually emailing you tomorrow what the attorney said for that clause.
Okay, it is, it is.
Wonder what we still have a public hearing?
Yes.
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 But I don't think,
Unlikely we could act again on an application until 2 months from now at least,
Right.
if we wait for clarification on
Correct.
what the ordinance is.
yes, well, I guess you could do. both.
More like 3 months.
And plus, I thought there were other questions to the ordinance that we had amongst ourselves. And
I know.
because we had,
I do. So, okay, next month we'll get the code. It'll be on the agenda. The following month we public comment, then
Well, we can schedule a public hearing for next meeting if you want to, for the change in the code, and bring it back to what we requested. So we could do that at the next meeting.
so when are we gonna get it and discuss it as a group?
The intent of the planning commission was pretty straightforward. It just didn't get into the code that way. It's just basically to eliminate, you can only have one in the Hancock, and we're just trying to get our attorney to come up with, there's evidently problems with that language. yeah, the first one didn't work, so it's just, I think we're all agreement on what we want to do, it's just a question of getting the language there, so you're gonna send us some information.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, okay,
That won't change this application.
no, but we haven't, okay. All right, so we're good on that? All right, the next public hearing is a zoning change for Marshall Street Extension. I'm gonna open the town of Hancock's public hearing is now open. Scott, you want to open up your public hearings?
Sure. Planning Commission is, meeting in regards to Marshall Street Extension is now open.
Matt, you want to give us a little background on this?
Sure, the lots where there are buildable lots on the Marshall Street extension, those 3 lots are currently zoned R1A. But based on the size of the lots, the setbacks would not allow for any building on those lots. So they requested that we transition the zoning from R1A to R1B. That would allow homes to meet the current setback requirements for R1B. The property owners directly contiguous to them on Church Street are also zoned R1B, and they're the same size. They're all about 10,000 square feet.
I mean, there's not much change. The setback goes from 25 to 10 or something in the side.
Yeah, 25 to 15,
Yeah.
and the back, these parcels don't have any issues with the back or
So
the front.
it's just a matter of setback.
Side to side.
Pretty small changes. Public hearing, any comment on this? Invite you. Planning Commission and nobody. All right, no public comment. I'm gonna close the public hearing for the town of Hancock. Scott, you want to close your public hearing as well?
Planning Commission, is closed.
Okay. Well, we technically, we need a recommendation from the planning commission, you guys,
Planning Commission recommended the zoning change.
okay. So we got a recommendation of approve the zoning change to the town council. Do we have a motion on the council to approve this zoning change?
So moved.
Second, discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Where is lot 15 on this map?
It's 13, 14, 15 are when you go up Marshall Street, down
Yes.
Kerr. It's on the right and they're consecutively numbered.
15 is not here, so is it like with 14? Behind 13?
Yeah, on the little tiny map that you've got,
Yeah.
that's on 8.5 by 11. The first proposed residence is 13, then the one behind it you can see is 14, Harry Parker. And then there's the next lot up is 15,
13,
13, 14, 15. That's
Okay,
correct.
that's out the map.
Yeah,
So they would all be on Marshall Street.
yes, correct.
All right, any other questions? All right, all in favor of this zoning change? Aye. All opposed? Carry unanimously. Right, we have several council I've got a couple additional items to council discussion, if it's okay with the council. The first one is a more of a kind of about our, as you all know, we're gonna have as of January 1st, we're gonna have a vacancy on the council. My question is, we have to appoint somebody. Do we want to wait to the end of January for the regular meeting to appoint somebody, or do we want to have a special meeting first part of January? So that's my question to you all.
So the vacancy is caused by,
We have only 4 people. We're only going to have elect 3 people at the election.
right?
Selma is leaving, and when she leaves, and on January 1, we only have 5 council
I'm
members.
just checking to see if that's so.
Yeah.
So the election's November 8th, and that person does not take their seat till January 1st.
Yes. We all take your new seats January 1. So as of January 1, we will only have 5 council members. So it's up to you all whether we want to wait until the end of January, to appoint someone, or have a special meeting and just operate without a council member. It's just a matter of bookkeeping.
So are you suggesting that we have the special meeting earlier in January and appointed someone that person could be in place by the time of the regular.
As soon as they
January
were sworn in by the clerk, yes, if we want to do that, it's totally up to you. It's just something like, or we can wait to the normal meeting, and they would serve until a special election, which will most likely not be until November 23. So it's totally up to you all. It's not the end of the world for us to go with 5 council members.
That makes.
That's mayor, but
That makes sense to me.
Do I think it?
what's coming up?
And I've been there once in what, 6 years. Anyway, so it's, you don't have to decide right now. We can, we think we have a meeting in December, we can decide what the schedule is. We just need to get it. We need to advertise it. Well, we get it on the November, meeting. We'd have to just have to advertise. We're way ahead of it. We don't need to advertise it for a couple of weeks ahead of the meeting. But I just think.
But don't we want to advertise for candidates for the appointment?
That's again up to you. Traditionally, we've appointed the 4th vote getter, but that's not law or anything like that. So, we have different people running, so it's up to you. How you want to do
I
that.
think we should do something so that we can have interested parties step forward. There seems to be a lot of questioning along the way, so let interested parties step up.
Well, we could let the voters decide and let them pick the 4th person, they won't be official. So whoever the 4th person will get the most votes.
Well, that's up to council. I think, we don't have to make that decision right now.
I think because of the early deadline, I think there were people who might have been interested in running, but missed the early deadline for registration. I would kind of be more comfortable with requesting people who are interested to apply.
I agree.
All right, well, we can, that's up to council.
So how do we decide? How do we decide what we're going to do? Should we do that?
Well, at some point, you need to decide if you want to accept, we accept applications and we can't really, technically, the count, you can't really just do it until the new council seat in January 1. Because that's the people that are going to appoint. You can't appoint anybody until January 1.
Right.
So this council can't appoint somebody that,
We're not appointing, but we're asking process.
so you,
So
can
can we
take it.
decide on the process?
sure, of course. Yeah. If you want to just put it out there, we're going to take applications and they'd all be in by, January 2nd or something,
Nodding heads.
Maybe we'll propose to have the applications in, like, say, mid-December, so then we have time to review them, and then we make a decision in early January.
I agree.
Well, the problem is that you can't,
We can't
The
act at
council-
all
the council
until
makes the decision in January.
we're the new council,
Oh,
or until whoever is the new council. in
right, but
January.
it's some.
Right.
it could be one person different, hard to say. Anyway, so yeah, we can, I think that's. So.
So we decided on process or not?
It sounds like, we'll put it out there. We're gonna take applications, accept a deadline.
So you can do it in December?
You can get the application, you just can't act on them.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we do this before with, when other people, we request a little resume.
Requested a resume and we also interviewed.
Right, yeah, okay. All right, thank you. The other item I have is the, this is another, as you well aware, we applied for an industrial redevelopment fund grant for the Wilson building. I don't know what, 4 or 3 months ago, that the town, we haven't heard anything on that, but that there's an ongoing, that fund is ongoing, and Main Street would like to apply for a planning grant. Because they identified 3 different buildings at that time. And the planning had already been pretty much done for the Wilson building, so they didn't apply for a planning grant. They applied straight for the main $1 million grant. It's not a grant, it's a loan. The town doesn't have to put anything up for it or anything. So anyway, that we're waiting, Main Street's waiting to hear from that town as well. Main Street would like to apply for a planning grant for 2 other properties that are basically vacant. That they've discussed with the owners that they would like, I think there were 3 properties that were eligible. And if the owner's interested in one of them, decide not to do it at the present time. So they want to apply for, I think it's like, is it like $60,000
It's up to $100,000, but it's similar to what we did for the Wilson building, which cost 25,000.
And
So
when Main Street did that without the
Main Street
town,
did that, but
that was their money. Yeah.
the amount we'll end up applying for,
Right.
will probably be somewhere around 50,000.
And it's just a planning grant to see if what they can do with those two buildings. So there's no downside to the town. It's free money for the town. There's no match or anything like that. And it's a great, it's, an application, there's no guarantee we'll get it. If they just want to apply, it is, the town will have to administer the grant. That would be the only downside, is it would require a little bit of time, but I think we've done this before, so you're gotten pretty good at it. Yeah.
So the request is for the town to endorse that, is that
Well, I think
what
the
the,
town is the one that has to apply. for it.
Yeah, we have to apply, but the applicants are gonna complete the entire application, so it's literally copying and pasting into the portal, submitting it, and then waiting for it, and then as far as administration of it, it's getting copies of the receipts, submitting those, and then getting reimbursed. So and because it's a small grant, it's not a heavy lift.
Are we at liberty to say who the other businesses are at this
Well, I
point?
think it's a public record. I think it's one of them's the Wise's drugstore, which is pretty derelict, and the other one is House of Deals. They're the only two people that, expressed interest.
It's the only two that qualify as vacant,
Yeah.
blighted, and, would be a catalyst if they were, revitalized.
And there are other things that they get other buildings that, these are the only ones that are lining up. There are other buildings that could apply later. Since I'm not gonna discuss that anymore because I'm one of the building owners, so.
And just as a point of clarification, I'm not sure if I should abstain since I'm on the Main Street board.
There's no conflict.
This is the grant money going down.
This is actually a non-starter because the town doesn't have anything to do with it except to endorse the.
Well, they manage,
That's
they manage the grant, yeah,
Okay.
right, but there's no.
And
cost
Matt
to the town.
doesn't seem to mind doing it.
We've gotten grants like this before, there was a Hill Studio grant that a long time ago that did a plan for the town. They also,
I remember
some
that.
business owners got some plans 10 years ago for renovating the.
And nothing
We also
ever
just did the northeast section.
Northeast got the
Planning
same
grant.
planning grant, yeah, this is these things are fairly common, so it's no sweat for the town, so. And, all right, do we have a motion to approve this? Second, all in favor? Thank you. Does anybody object if I put town, council, public comment before
No, I was just gonna
Yeah,
suggest you do that.
before the town, All right, I'm gonna, public comment about anything, anybody? Yeah, go ahead. State your name and where you live.
How is that? Since I'm quiet, nobody can ever hear me.
Yeah,
45 8th Street, Terry Swain.
yeah. Not working
Can you hear
well,
me?
barely.
But if I just talk.
Yeah, I think we're right on, right close to it now.
Okay, I'm interested in the ordinance about the short-term stays, the homestay thing, because, that there are a number of people in town that I've talked to, and I haven't talked to anybody that's really in favor of it at this point. I'm not patently against having short-term stays, but I think that the density that's in the ordinance is a bit much. And I would like to see that reduced. And I'd like to see more of the neighborhoods have their opinions attended to. For example, and the one that didn't get reviewed today, my property corners to the property that was in question. And I'm not a contiguous neighbor because of that, but I will be almost as affected as some of the contiguous neighbors if something goes wrong with that. And as you know, I sent a comment to the board, and it was because I have experience in a community that had a lot of short-term stay people that didn't behave very well. And still don't, they're behaving worse now with the Airbnbs because it used to be mostly owners or families of owners that were there misbehaving. Now it's people from anywhere. They're misbehaving. It's really not going well. So I would like to see some additional safeguards for the community because most of us are here because we like it here the way it is pretty much, and we don't want to see that disrupted too much. And so I'm not really worried about other people's pocketbooks. I got mine to worry about it, but I'm not trying to fund other people's pocketbooks at the expense of our community. I think our community is wonderful. And by the way, I'd like to add that I am thrilled with what's happening at the school. I think it's beautiful. These people have done a wonderful job. We've been working on this for 16 years, and those of us who've been working on it that long, aren't we proud? It's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can't say, I guess I'll start in the front row.
I'm here on behalf of Sharon Hayden. She asked me if I would please speak to you in that regard. If I can get this set, I'll be in good shape. She regrets that she can't be here in person. She had a death of her ex significant other, and she has gone to the funeral. So I guess you could look at me and figure that I'm significant other 2.0. Anyway, I'd like to read the letter that she wrote to you, Mr. Mayor, if that's possible, so that it goes in the record here. And this is in regard to the John Figge's application for an Airbnb at 50 Ames Street, and it would be an Airbnb in which he would not be in residence. Dear Mr. Mayor, it is with a heavy heart that I feel compelled to write this letter in opposition to a special use permit being granted to turn 50 Ames Street, the home of Catherine Figge, into an Airbnb. I live at 48 Ames Street next door, and my family and the Figges have been close neighbors and friends for years. And I am distressed that I am being put in the position of having to write this letter and speak before this council. I am opposed to the application to turn the house into an Airbnb for the following reasons. The area is zoned residential. Having a commercial enterprise in the midst of a residential neighborhood violates the zoning and thus reduces the property values of the contiguous properties and those of the street. Living next door to an Airbnb interferes with the existing residents' quiet enjoyment of their property. There will be increased traffic on what is a quiet residential street, some of which traffic may be large RVs, boat trailers, or jet skis, which the two available parking spaces at number 50 would not accommodate. The Figge house is surrounded by houses of 4 single older women who are uncomfortable with a turnover of strangers next door, both when we are there and when we are not there. Short-term renters have no vested interest in the upkeep of the property, nor the ambience of the neighborhood. For those of us who have docks, bulkheads, or waterfront property, the renters will likely go on the docks for property, thus exposing us to liability should something unfortunate happen around the water. I have had experience with this when the previous owner of 52 Ames Street was renting and later selling the house. There was a parade of people on my dock who thought, and apparently were never told, that the dock was not part of the property of 52 Ames Street. It happened even after one of the realtors was explicitly told that she needed to make sure that her customers understood that the dock did not belong to the property that was for rent. When the property was most recently sold, same thing happened. I was having to constantly chase people off the dock and tell them that the dock did not belong to the property and was not for sale. Should this application be approved, I will have to incur the expense of at least fencing part of my property, as well as fencing and getting the dock and a gate at the dock, and putting up an unsightly no trespassing sign. The owners are not on site. Mr. Figgy's office is downtown. His wife is currently homeschooling their daughter on Meadville Drive. They are not there to supervise the activities of their renters. They will not be there to see, this is a great time to be getting a text asking for money from one of your grandchildren.
Have it.
Anyway. So, to continue with the owners not being on site, they're not there to supervise the renters, and there will be, there are times that if someone goes on our property, makes noise, parks illegally, or otherwise infringes on the rights of the neighbors. Should something like that happen, and they probably will, by the time that the police get there, the people will most likely will have left. Thus, the policing of the renters is going to be left to the neighbors. There may be unintended consequences that can't be foreseen. Finally, though Mrs. Figgy is in the Commonwealth facility due to declining health, her mental faculties are intact. I visited her on Sunday, October 16th, and she immediately recognized me when I came into the room. We had a very pleasant conversation about a number of things, including why she chose to enter this facility, whether or not she was happy there. And near the end of the conversation, I said, quote, "So what are you planning? What are your plans for the house?" End quote. She said, "Well, to keep it for a while." She said the house is being left to her sons. There are two sons rather, John and Bill. And John will probably buy Bill out since Bill has no plans to return to the shore. Then she said, "Don't worry, Bill won't let John do anything stupid with the house." From this conversation, I believe that John may have the power of attorney in terms of paying his mother's bills and such. He does not own the house, and not as such is not out to have to turn this, or is out to turn this into an Airbnb. I do not believe his mother knows his intention, all of which were under this application would render this application invalid. Well, I don't know whether it does or not, but you can clearly see that she's very upset about this. And I think that some of the points, and ma'am, I can't read your name. Yes,
Yeah.
but to your point about the ordinance and things, I would say that I did some studying on what you have written in, what's written in the ordinance and the things that are in there. And I think the very first thing that has to be taken into account here in Hancock, with so many different things going on that we're interested in having done. We have the historic school, and that's great. We have an Hancock Main Street, and they've done wonderful things. We have a lot of things that are focused on the business. But I would like to point out to those of you who, like me, were born here, and the rest of you who have come here, to think about the reasons that you came here. And that was because of the quiet enjoyment you had here in this town, and the quality of the real estate that is the housing, and really the people who live here and are interested in making this town better. I think that's all good, but in pointing this out, we've had the problems with Main Street, Market Street, since Dick Hall, who I did know, opened Four Corner Plaza out here. And after that, all the retail and all the things that people did every day moved from Hancock out onto Route 13. And these businesses have all languished during that time. But the town of Hancock never varied. It got better, and more people are finding it, and they're moving here because of the housing, because of the zoning, And because that is just a wonderful lifestyle. Now, when you start to introduce other things into it, you run into problems and you're gonna have some. Now, in my experience, I have in my past, I'm about 40 some years in commercial real estate and lending and developing and also investment banking. But one time, and when I was in the Washington DC area, I will close.
You
in
don't go
just a
in,
second.
minutes.
I was appointed to the planning commission in Arlington County. And this was at the time that the subways were being built in Arlington and in Montgomery County and all over the metro lines. I was required by the board to chair a sector committee for Arlington, for the Clarendon station. So this is one of the stations there were four. The developers were all over this. The residential area was a lot like an Hancock in terms of its relative position. And there was a fight like you wouldn't believe over this. But we got everybody together. People had their say. These were the citizens now, not the planning commission. The planning commission had to chair it. But the people, what we did is we went out and we made sure everybody knew about this, not posting it just on a website, but contacting individually the people who were involved and said, we need to talk about this. It took us, I don't think it would take you that long, but it took us 6 months. But we got consensus. We built this consensus. We went back, we brought it into the planning commission, which sent it on to the board for approval, and it was approved. So my suggestion, based on a lot of the comments here, I agree that your zoning ordinance is grossly inadequate because it doesn't have any teeth. So I think that what you should do is take this map right here and your planning commission, if you like, and have them chair areas in here and contact all these people and have town meetings or have, town hall kind of thing or whatever. And get the consensus of the people and have them fight it out. You don't want one by you, why don't you? And what you find out is the Airbnb people who are in favor of it will have their say. And out of that, I think you can get a consensus that would be the basis for the ordinance that I think some of you anyway, a revision. Because it is certainly within the realm of American politics to revise existing commissions, and I recommend that you do that. Thank you.
Like the name would. We didn't get your name.
Oh, Tom Duncan.
Oh, okay.
We met,
Of
but
course, I didn't recognize.
and look, but that's okay.
Yeah, right. No, I didn't
But
recognize.
I thought to add to this, and then
Yeah,
you've given me the segue.
I just wanna make
And
sure.
that is, look, the folks in this town are great. I mean, I've been all over the world and spent a lot of time, most of my time in Florida. But there's no place better than here, and the people aren't the same. And I took to the mayor and also to Matt, the town manager, some ideas that I had. Now, they didn't adopt my ideas, but you know what? They listened. The mayor spent an hour with me and Matt spent 2 hours with me. So I was heard. And I have every belief that all of you or anybody else who's out there that has something to say, if it's done in an orderly fashion, will be heard. So thank you. And you're still a homeowner. Well, I'm a homeowner, but not a resident.
Are you cold or hot?
Cold or hot? It's hot in here. Second row, go ahead. State your name so we get it for the record. I forgot.
Okay.
And where you live.
Do I need the mic?
Please, probably so.
I'll speak up. Okay.
Either way.
My name's Lori Rackes, and I am a brand new resident of Omaha.
Could you state your address, please?
I don't know if I want to yet, so let me tell you my story first. And then we'll decide. I purchased a house and moved down here at the very end of August. I have many friends out here that I've come to know over the years. And one of the sort of draws here was how safe and friendly and everything else in Hancock was. So less than 6 weeks after I moved in, it was October 13th
actually it was a very early morning of October 14th, Friday. And about 3 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and I'm not sure why. So I just look out the back window and I notice that the light is on in my garage. And I think, well, he'll left the light on. So in the morning, I'll turn it off. When I got up in the morning, my back door was wide open. And one of my garage doors was as well. So clearly I had had an intruder. I won't say a break-in, even though being from Alexandria and before that from Chicago, I have an acute sense of physical safety and I lock everything all the time. So maybe I had, excuse my French, a brain fart and that night I didn't. But it was very distressing, of course, especially to a new resident. So the following day, I called the police department just to report it, and they only descended officer. And when the officer came out, he told me that that same night, early morning, at about 3:30, they had arrested a gentleman for rifling through unlocked cars in my immediate neighborhood. And he dusted my back door for prints. I mean, the window on my back door. I have not heard back whether the prints matched those of the person they arrested. So I really had no follow-up from the police, but I just wanted to make sure that the council was aware of that. And, you know, it hasn't made me frightened. I do lock everything all the time. My lights are on front and back as they always were. But it has made me a little more cautious and a little skeptical. So I just thought it was important.
Thank you.
Yes.
Second, Robert. Second, come on.
Do you think this person will be able to unlock your locked doors?
No, I don't. I mean, that's why I say I think I probably made a mistake that night and did not lock my back door because it's a bedroom. I have a bedroom on the back, but I did have the back porch light on and I have the front porch light on. You know, and I have a motion detector. So I don't know.
A, welcome to town, and B, I'm sorry that was the second part of your welcome to town.
Yeah.
And I hope that it will come back to how you had envisioned.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Change your locks.
I did. I had the next day I had all my locks removed.
Hi, good evening. Jim Forwalk from Johnson, along with some other residents from Johnson Heights. We like to get that in. It's a little bit. Whatever. It's on our tax bill.
I'm sorry, we didn't catch your last name, Jim.
Forwalk. I'm here because last week we got some news from the builder over at the Carnival Grounds that after these next two homes, he'll be leaving. He's not going to continue. Then we got notice that there was already ads on various sites like Trulia and Realtor.com that all the lots on Jefferson were now for sale. So our residents got together and we just want to know what the town knows, what's going to happen, if there's any changes. Because this was supposed to be a 21 home development. Now it's stopping at 7. Also, a realtor has now posted a home. He sells up in Captain's Cove, but he has a home now that they develop up there on lot 15 down here. So we're just concerned about what changes or anything that you might know that you can inform us about.
Matt, news to me.
The only thing that I'm aware of is it's the exact same ownership as before. The developer is purchasing the lots from the current owner. It's exactly the same structure as door 7. The only thing I can say is that the real estate market isn't as hot as it was a year ago. So that might be the reason for the slowdown, but I can tell you that The owners are very, very interested in moving forward and there's no plans to do anything but make it a lovely little 21 home
So
community.
The lots are on record, right? There's nothing,
Yeah.
we don't have any control over.
Correct.
Lots, you know.
So Matt, excuse me, so the builder is leaving, but the ownership of the property remains the same?
Yes.
So another builder,
Another builder could easily come in
But they could.
or the
even
other
sell
could
off the lot.
return.
They could sell off the lots, there's lots, right? There's no-
Yes, they could.
Is
What I
the,
can tell you is that's not the interest of the owner because they don't make the margin that they do when they build a house.
is the new owner interested in,
There is no new owner. It's the same owner of
same
land.
owner, that's what I just told you. Same owner, different builder.
is this
I don't know if we
builder
answered your
interested
question or
in
not.
continuing?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't speak to that part.
With the first.
But
we
there
heard-
doesn't seem to be a builder now per se.
There's probably not, right?
No, there's a real estate agent from Baltimore that seems to be putting like a home that he intends to build, I guess, if he gets a purchaser there. But as far as a builder per se, there isn't.
Well, he's 3/4 of the way through a house right now, so. There's a builder on site. I mean, Joe is still working and
He's gonna finish
Yes.
6 and 7.
Correct,
We know that on Johnson, but it's basically behind us on Jefferson.
right.
And it's the one real estate agent that has put up the property for sale, but within a day, then put up a home for sale. So he's not a builder.
Let me talk to the owner and find out if something changed.
Actually, who is the owner now of the property?
It's Carnival Development LLC.
Is that
A group of investors,
Yes.
correct, that own that property?
from Anacog?
Yeah.
Any other people from Johnson Heights would like to?
Any other public comment about?
Jeff, I also live at 6 Johnson. Are there any zoning changes that they're expected? I mean, currently, there are gonna be 21 residential homes. There's the possibility at the other side of Jefferson, there could be apartments or condos?
No,
Okay, all right, that's
those are all
something we
single
would like
family.
to know.
Yeah, I mean, there were lots, the lots are records, so we, they were plotted out, one of the 50s or 40s or something, so, and
Right.
yeah, so they're just basically, then, so the town is, we rezoned them to what, R1, R1B. And
Or
so,
1B.
yeah, I think, and so
Okay.
there, we don't have any control over what the builder, the owner does with the lots, if he wants to sell off the lots or have somebody build them all. That's not, we can't regulate that.
They're not the towns anymore.
They're not the towns, they were never the towns, they were the fire departments, yeah.
So could they build a townhouse or a condo there?
No.
Oh, okay, just a
No.
home.
It has to be an R1, you have to read it, it's a single, has to be a
Okay,
single
all
family
right.
home. They have no permission to do anything else.
All right.
We have no applications and change that. I don't know about build a house and sell it as a condo, I don't know about, it's single family, I don't know about that, that's just an ownership question. Yeah, huh?
Well, it's a big wide open space and we were just concerned how that will develop. 'Cause
Yeah,
Originally, there were gonna be 21 homes.
yeah,
Now it's ending at 7 on Johnson. So
Right.
all of Jefferson is an open alley.
yeah, I mean, they're just lots, and like I said, we have the dog park, but. Yeah, they can't do anything. They can't do anything on the backside of what we call the Jefferson is the back street.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's owned by the town.
Well, the dog park.
Yeah, the town owns that property. Yeah.
Okay,
So the lots are still there. Who builds on them? We have no control of, but we do. have-
yeah, all right.
Zoning is the same. It's not gonna change.
Okay, thank you.
We can find out information for you, though, if you want to know something.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
this.
thank you.
We had no idea. Thank you.
And the lighting is better.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
There was a problem with the lighting.
Well, yeah, let's finish that. Any more public comment? Yeah.
Hi, I don't think I'm gonna need the microphone.
Okay.
I just want
Could
to.
you please state your name, please?
Yes, I'm Karen Gravel. I live at 4 White Street. in that prospect. And, I think we're having a problem with break-in because my neighbor had an intruder. Again, technically, I guess if you don't break the lock to get in, it's not break-in. But, my neighbor is an elderly woman, not as elderly as me, but, she's almost always home. Her car is almost always there. When her car is not there, it's apparent she isn't home. She always keeps her front door locked when she's there. She doesn't go in and out of the front door. She goes in and out of the back. She went, around 4 o'clock the weekday, when she figured that the line at McDonald's was going to be, a low frequency, so she was gonna pick up 4 frappes, and her back door is very heavy. So she didn't lock it because she didn't want to struggle with 4 frappes, a key, and try to push this door open. And she wasn't gone for long. She said she came back and the door was closed, but not right. And she went in, she said she had a real feeling that something was not right. She went in very carefully, looked around, no one was there. Apparently nothing was taken. She walked into her bathroom and the medicine cabinet where she stores none of her drugs, but over the counter things like Tums that she never uses, her drugs are in a wicker basket in some other room. But the medicine cabinet was wide open. She never opens it. It doesn't have anything in it that she wants. So she did not report it to the police. I didn't hear about it until a couple of days later. So I kind of freaked out. But I think there's more than just Lori's issue. And I think we ought to, I don't know what y'all want to do about it.
We need to report it,
Well, I can't.
I know, but tell her to report anything else. We need to know about
Okay,
it.
yeah, well, that's why I'm telling you now.
Yeah, but.
Yeah, I know
we still
you need to be
file- we
officially,
still file a report.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think, we'll send somebody, we'll get somebody to look into it.
okay, no, thanks. Thank you.
Any other public comment about anything? Okay, public comment.
Somebody.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, my name is Brittany, and I do not live in Bangkok, so I'm an outsider, but I did grow up here on the Eastern Shore. I live in Parsley, and I would just like to say that I am attending meetings in Parsley and being an active participant in the town of Parsley. And we are looking at the town of Bangkok as an example for this homestay. And, I say we, I'm out of the council, but I am a purchaser of homes in Parsley, and I like to restore them. I love the Victorians in our town. I love the old homes in your town, and a lot of folks are looking at the homestays because they want to restore these buildings and they want to, it's hard, and Bangkok has a lot of great tourist features and we want people to come to our shore, but it's really hard to get a good experience of the Eastern Shore while staying at Shore Lodge. So I'm not saying approve them, I'm not saying don't, but it's a great opportunity for the shore. It's a great thing, I think. And maybe this is just me speaking for my generation. And I certainly understand that that's a difference, but people with young children especially are looking for that experience. They're looking for, real Eastern Shore experience. And that's how you really sell them here on coming to the shore and moving here. So I did come with Mr. Lancaster today on his behalf, because I figured nobody would know him. Really nice gentleman. And that's how he fell in love with the shore. He came here, he stayed in an Airbnb in Cape Charles and fell in love with the shore and wanted to get one of his own. So I just would appreciate the reconsideration of that whenever it comes up, if he decides to do so. I'm sure he's disappointed because from what I understand, none of the neighbors next to him followed the rules and went through with it. So I look forward to hearing how the ordinance has changed, not only for Mr. Lancaster on 12 Lake, but as an example for how we're going to move forward. So, thank you very much.
I had a long conversation with your mayor this morning. I was in Pat. I called up talking to Frank Russell about it. He was asking me about our ordinance. So I think they're gonna I'm not sure ours is a great one to copy, I don't know. I was at a mayor's conference for the whole state of Virginia, and when I sat next to the mayor from Virginia Beach, he's been, 400,000 people in Virginia Beach, and he said he's 25 years in politics. This is the most divisive issue he's ever had to deal with. And there were at least 3 or 4 hour-long seminars about Airbnbs, and it's a very divisive issue. I think there's a balance that I don't think any of us are, I don't know, are completely against them. But we don't want them, we want to regulate them. And,
Sure, and it needs to be regulated.
Right,
It's
yeah.
something that definitely should be regulated.
and I think we're trying to get there, and we just didn't read, this is the new ordinance, so, Tom talked about, we just
Absolutely.
went through a public, process to get this ordinance, and it's not, it's not, maybe we got more work to do,
Like the other gentleman said, good laws change all the time. They
Yeah,
evolve,
yeah, and we're,
say that.
we just changed it. I mean, we've had an initial ordinance. This is the first time we've changed it, so we're open to, any public input. Well, thank you.
No, I appreciate all of your time today, and I look forward to accompanying Mr. Lancaster when it comes up again. If he does. Thank you.
All right. I've got somebody else. Yeah. Second row there.
I'll make this very quick. I'm Nancy Arnold. I live over on Ames Street, 28. And I just wanted to say on Airbnbs, the people that live next to me were going to sell their house to somebody that's going to do an Airbnb. I came to town council, had a nice chat with his representative. And I think that it's important from my perspective, and I think most of the people that would be next to an Airbnb, that we might want to consider putting into some kind of bylaws or whatever. That there has to be someone local to contact.
That's already.
There is.
It
It is in there
Yeah.
now.
we're- yeah.
Well, see, I feel better already. That was my issue. Is I'm going, the police have better things to do than come and take care of noise. Who do I
No,
call?
it's definitely,
Because Texas isn't gonna answer their phone. Okay, thank you.
thank you. Any other public comment? Close the public comment section. We're going backwards here with council discussion, town proposals for the planning, strategic planning, whatever, everybody has a different name for calling it.
Master plan.
Master plan, yeah. Anyway, at a meeting a month ago, I said that we had 3 people bid on this package. I think we had at least what that list was, maybe 15 people on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I went to the VML meeting and the mayor's conference in Richmond, and I contacted almost everybody on the list, and they were, and 2 people said they were gonna submit, would they be interested, that we had, and one finally called me back and said they weren't interested because they would basically have to farm it out, and then the other people from North Carolina obviously didn't respond, they did not send back. I did what, I talked to a lot of people, I got a couple of people that said they were using people, but they were like Virginia Beach or Norfolk, and they were using this huge firm somewhere that would do the same thing, they just farm out, the stuff to the individual things. So I guess the basic line is we're back to these 3 bids we have. I was not able to get anybody else to bid. I did work at it, so unfortunately, so we need to move on, decide what we want to do with this. So it's council's option, comments or Matt, there's really not, I guess everybody knows.
Use your microphone. We can't hear what you're saying. back
I'm
there.
sorry, is that better?
No, not on at all.
They don't.
Okay, I'll try to talk, I'm talking to council, I'll talk after you, I don't know if you heard anything I said, but we have.
Now it's working.
Oh, you start on?
I can hear him just fine.
Watch that man.
Is that any better? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Yeah, anyway, so I'm asking council for their options about what they want to do with the plan. I've been informed that some people have not scoped through it completely yet, is that correct?
Not because I thought we were gonna have some kind of discussion.
Well, we were supposed to, yeah, I was hoping we would more, well, we want to set up a work session to talk about this.
I think we should.
All right, let's do that. And then, okay, so we'll table this for a work session. We'll send some emails about when we get a work session. So that's not wasting any more time tonight about works. Okay, so we'll give us some more time to really get into this Okay. All right, committee reports, personnel,
We have included the procurement policy and sorry, I assume it will be on the agenda in the future. That we'll look at that and also, we should get a vote, procurement and the personnel.
what's personnel got to do?
Well, okay, personnel, and so we're asking you to review it and look at it and take it from there.
Is it in my box? I checked this. I think minutes before the meeting. I don't have that.
And emailed it, a while back, both.
It's electronic, right?
What we want to,
Okay, but you know what? It was when I had glitch with the email then, because I checked that. I didn't see that.
Yeah, no problem. You want me to resend an email or you want her?
I have a hard copy, please.
So we're still waiting on legal review on that, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You guys haven't had a meeting. All right, planning, Planning commission was there. We didn't meet, did we? Oh, we did, yeah, we did, yeah. I was at the meeting, can you give us
Yeah, we were reviewing.
Can you hear him? No.
We were reviewing the sign ordinance and also the ordinance for property maintenance keep up. So that's how we spent that time.
And no recommendations to council yet on that?
Still reviewing. There's a healthy amount of words in there.
Okay, all right. Any questions from Matt about the planning commission? Waterfront, we did not meet for waterfront, correct?
We did, but it's the last one for a little while. We met,
Oh, that's right.
talked about the season, the bulkhead project that's coming up, the pricing for next year, we firmed up, that type of thing.
You'll be on the counter.
Make a comment about, it, and I don't know if this is the right place, but it was about the marina and the number of people that have come to town this year and how pleased they were with the facility, with the accommodations and the welcoming. Plus, the courtesy car was a big old plus. Good.
Cool. All right, is that, any comments about waterfront? All right. Mayor's report, as I said earlier, I attended the, Mayor's Institute that's put on by the BML a couple weeks ago in Richmond. It was a 2-day conference, about 50 mayors there, mostly small towns, got some interesting ideas I shared with Matt, and I attended the BML conference the next couple days after that. And it's we get a lot of support from BML. They did a couple talks on FOIA regulations, and I went to one of the talks, an hour-long talk, and the people giving the talk were our newly hired town attorneys. So I think we did pretty well with our attorneys. They're like specialists for FOIA and freedom of information. They're really they specialize in town stuff. So hopefully that's going to work out. I would suggest that the BML meeting is going to be in Norfolk in next October, and I would certainly like that. I think some of us to go. I think it's sometimes you sit here in a vacuum. You don't really know what's going on in the rest of the state, and we don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. Some other towns doing it, and I know I'm not sure any of you've been to a BML conference.
yeah,
You went to a you didn't go to a conference. You went to a new council. Yeah, you need to go. Yeah. So it's a I think the town can cough up the money for it. We can go over for the day as a group, and I think it would be I think it would be an eye opener for a lot of you to see how other towns operate and stuff like that. So anyway, so I would put that on the calendar, give you the dates and make it free. A couple things coming up with this weekend, Halloween. With dates, what's got the pumpkin carving thing on Saturday and
Pumpkin gutting is taking place on Friday.
Friday night.
Pumpkin carving is taking place on Saturday.
11th or something. What is it? No, it's 2
It's on,
It's 12 to 4, yeah, and then Halloween is being celebrated Monday night. I don't think there's any confusion about that this year. So, okay, I think that's about all I have for the mayors. I'll mention that. All right, moving on, town manager reports.
it's in the packet, so I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but I do have a few updates. The bulkhead project, we are on schedule to start that probably the week after Election Day. The tree board, we had a really great meeting with, they brought in community forestry department from the state forestry. They talk about what communities can do for everything from revitalization to planting along creek side and caring for some of our more aged trees and things like that. It was really interesting, and we've done a few things since then. But you should also know our Arbor Day celebration is going to be the celebration itself is going to be a bit underwhelming because the work is going to be done ahead of the time. We're planting 2 new crepe myrtles at the town square, and we're going to be moving the cork oak that's in town square over to the kayak landing, over to where the Japanese maple was just removed. So all of that's going to take place, and then we're going to be looking for, there's a proclamation that the mayor needs to read and a banner that people need to stand in front of, so we'll be soliciting.
What time is that?
We don't know yet.
You know the date.
Friday.
Yeah, we truly don't know yet. Okay, probably Friday.
I thought that's Friday, but not.
Yeah. The definite maybe.
Okay.
Um,
This week,
It'll be ready, yeah.
This week, tomorrow the plants are, the trees are being planted. Wednesday, we're gonna remove the cork oak and move it over to the landing. And then hopefully Friday, once they're in place, we'll put the banner up and stand in front of it, and the mayor will read the proclamation. We'll be right with the world.
that were all it took.
Yeah, right. The dog park actually has an update. I got a call. The fence is actually here. Yeah, so they're intending to start next Monday, Tuesday, depending on weather with posts. So that's headed in the right direction. The security cameras, we're still waiting for A&N on the shared pole agreement. With the electrician can't do any work until we get that agreement, and it's gone up. It's got 3 layers to go, and it's on the 2nd layer right now over at A&N. So we're moving it as fast as we can. I know a couple of conversations were had with Butch, so maybe we can shake the tree a little bit, because that's important for Christmas and for the security cameras.
Do you have a date for those?
No, like A&N is A&N.
It's been exactly 1 year.
I talked to Butch twice now.
1 year.
It's merged in, yeah. And doing best we can.
We went over and did an inventory of the touchless fixtures at the Little League. It looks like we'll be able to do toilets, sinks, and touchless for them. We'll do the work in-house, which is what's going to allow us to get that done. There's conversations about whether or not every fixture needs to have touchless and things like that. So we're working with them on that, but we've got the inventory and we're ready to start moving forward on that. That's, and everything else is sort of as written. That's about it for my report.
The Sonic grant people, Matt, yeah, that group, that Matt, yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. Can you report on that? Chair, your chair.
It was a preliminary meeting, last week. We set another meeting for November 2nd, talking about what the application would ask for, what the criteria would be. And just trying to get our feet on the ground and our arms wrapped around what it needs to do.
Who's on the committee, Sarah?
Cindy, me, Debbie from the town office, Jeff Adler, he and his family moved during the summer into the Krause's house, which they had bought the previous year. And Jenny was not here that night. There's been some discussion about that.
You have an even number of people do that.
There's been some discussion.
She's the Main Street Program Director. All right, I think that's about it for, and we're moving forward with plans for the bathroom, we got, welcome center, yeah, we're calling it that now. basically it's many more bathrooms. and, you know,
Well said.
yeah, anyway, so that's, we should have something pretty soon on that. The architect from the main, person called us and had a couple questions, so she's gonna give us some preliminary drawings that we need to look at and we'll get it now. So. All right, financial report, anybody have any questions about that? You need to say anything about that? Do you?
I don't think so.
No, wow, no comments about the financial report.
Well, there was a question earlier about a change in the.
Congratulations.
Could we go back to your report on the police department renovation?
Yeah,
Could you let us know where we are with that?
yeah, we have the as-built or as-is drawings. The chief and his team sent over a rough idea of what they would like if they could do it. And then I got notice that the architect is going back to school full-time and he's transitioning it over to another architect. And we're right there right now. So we'll have rough end drawings for conversation as soon as this new architect gets his or her legs under them.
So then we'll have a chance to review those before we get actual building plans.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, this is a floor plan, just like we got with the Welcome Center.
So, what comes first, the chicken or the egg here? Because we got a pot of money that's basically doing both, correct?
Yeah,
Police
we
and
split it to
bathrooms.
be, I think we split it to be 195 and 100, basically. So,
So the police department, 195 and it was 100. Okay, so,
Correct.
okay, so
100 for the welcome center.
welcome center and the bathrooms, yeah. There's gonna be 3 bathrooms. The bathrooms are the most expensive thing in there. And doors for the bathroom.
Well, that would be a good idea. Do that.
Anyway, so, okay, I just wanted to, so we, but that's.
well,
somewhat
we'll
flexible.
obviously do cost per square.
Yeah, yeah.
Drawing,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, we don't.
that's
we don't
problem
need
and
to-
allocate.
We're not doing the Taj Mahal over there. Yeah, we're not. We're just, not moving as much stuff as I think we will. All right. Any other, okay, project updates?
And I went through it in my report.
Anybody have any questions or anything? Okay, I guess it's, town council comments. Ray, start with you.
I don't have any.
No, wow.
Question on the King Street sidewalk,
I'm sorry, which
the
one?
King Street
Ah, yes,
sidewalk,
yes, yes.
King Street Wharf sidewalk.
Status update is that there was a pre-application due on the 21st. We made our pre-application. At this point, they have to come back to me. We've got what they call concept drawings. And once they get the concept drawing, once they ask for the concept drawings, then they'll get the concept drawings and then they'll be able to say whether or not the project fits into the tenets of the grant. It does. They want sidewalks to connect to other sidewalks. This is right in its wheelhouse. So all I'm hoping is that those electric pedestals that are along the way,
Yeah.
that those don't become a utility move. And if it's a utility move, that will cause issues with this project. So we'll see.
Is this,
Even if we could get it down,
Partway.
is this part of the brick that?
that's part of the VDOT TAP program, which is the Transportation Alternatives Program. The brick training is still going on. I think the brick program is roughly 2 years long. So the training on the front end is just getting us to get all the resiliency projects that we can do. Then we have to have community forums and talk about it, things like that. It's a substantial undertaking.
Just another question that a number of people were here to talk about the application for the Airbnb on Ames Street, but I didn't see that application here.
And pulled.
It was pulled.
Okay.
We're waiting.
Pulled or delayed?
Well,
we
we
don't know.
pulled it for now. I can't say what he's gonna do down the road.
Yeah, so, no,
Thanks.
there'll be a public hearing on that. Hopefully the people get another comment.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight because there was an issue, but there's always issues.
Yeah.
You know, every meeting has an issue and something that we're discussing. And that will affect you in the short or the long run. And I just hope that more people will come out to these meetings and see what we're doing and take part in them. And I appreciate you being here tonight.
I second that, and I appreciate Karen and Laurie speaking up about the issues that they're having. Somebody said to me the other day, they hadn't seen the police patrolling. Well, that day at 7 a.m., they went by our house, and then again at 10, and the next day. And the reason I knew is because it was a marked police car. And I think that that makes a statement when the police patrol our neighborhoods. And, because this is concerning, you know, this is not, this, I never locked my door. You know, I mean, I just felt safe and to know this is happening is concerning. So thank you for sharing.
Cindy?
And I do want to echo the same comments. Thank you for coming to the meeting. We really need the public input, as Mavis has said, at every discussion, really, and all of the things that we're called upon to decide for the community. So we appreciate your input and hope you'll continue to give us that. Thank you.
All right, finally, I would request that we do something about the sound system. Talking about it, you know, that, I mean, the biggest problem, right, is this microphone's not come, never far enough out. Yeah, I mean, and unless you, talk like that, and I just pulled on this wire, and that's about it. So, yeah, I mean, I've been dealing with this for 18 years. Yeah. And I don't know whether we need to get more speakers up out or what. That's fine. But they're oh, no, it's not my job. I got it. All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second. All in favor? Thank you for coming out, everybody. Appreciate it.